Welcome to Sappy Hour, brought to you by Intelligent Change. Today we have two amazing, deep, beautiful voicemails. Let's hop in.
Up next on Sappy Radio, 44.4 on your FM dial, a little J.B. Copeland. He's not licensed, but he's definitely listening. This is Sappy Hour.
Hi, this is definitely something different and not something I usually do, but I just felt compelled to leave a voicemail because I am going through a breakup and it's been close to a month since we've been broken up. And although we weren't together for a crazy amount of time, it was about 4 months, it's just hard because I truly do wear my heart on my sleeve. And although I am kind of an emotional person when it comes to this kind of stuff, I also know what I deserve and I truly will never settle. And I think it's just kind of a loop of confusion on how it ended. Basically, we met on Hinge and first few dates were great, and just in the talking stage before we started officially dating, he really did the most and it was so good. I felt so special and it was just so amazing and it just felt healthy and finally just like a normal, intentional relationship that I'd been looking for. And he made it official and obviously that was really exciting. And I would say like 2 weeks in, I kind of started having an anxious feeling, just a gut feeling. But I told myself that maybe I'm just overthinking and that's not the case. And as it went on, it just kind of was there. And I would kind of tell him my feelings and how I felt. And he would validate me, but not in the way I necessarily would want. He just said, be patient with me. It takes me time to get there. And I felt like everyone in my life knew who he was, and I value family and friends so much. And I wanted to bring him into that. And I was just kind of getting the hint that it was overwhelming him. And once I would bring it up, just being like, I feel like no one in your life really knows about me, at least as people do in mine. And he kind of just said, well, I'm more private in that way. And I don't just say that randomly. And so it kind of just make me feel bad, but also he did do good things being a boyfriend and he did validate me. But it got to a point where my anxiousness was overtaking me. And I feel like that was almost my gut telling me that maybe he wasn't the right person. And once I did bring that up, it almost just felt like he gave up, and he just kind of mentioned saying that some days he wants to be with me and other days he's overthinking, and that's obviously not fun to hear. And in that moment, I am proud of myself because I stood up for myself and I said, I know what I'm worth, and I know my person would never question me or question if they wanted to be with me. And yeah, it was really hard, and it just kind of ended at that, and he didn't really fight for it, and he kind of was just saying, well, what if in 3 years I still feel like this, and then I'm going to have to start over? It just felt like he was almost self-sabotaging and like overthinking so much into it, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just in this limbo where I know this is what's best for my future, and I know he's not my person because clearly we don't value the same things. Like I value family, and like I know that, but my mind just keeps going to the good times and like the times where I really liked him and just stuff like that. And it's like overtaking my brain sometimes, and I know that's normal and that's just a part of healing. But I feel like it's just affected me so much, and it's hard. But I just kind of wanted to see your thoughts on it, because I know some of the phone calls have been guys calling in, and although like my situation's different, it would be kind of cool to hear a guy's perspective on what you think. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I let my ego take over, and I'm like, well, why doesn't he like me, and what could I done better, and I don't know, just stuff like that. So it would be cool to hear what you think, and yeah, thank you so much. And even if you don't answer this, I really appreciate your podcast, and I'm excited to listen to more.
Well, guess what? I am answering it. I have a lot to say about this because I think it's going to really help you and help other people that are dealing with this. And I want to start off with this, okay? I know that you covered a lot in there. What I'm hearing is you're overthinking this. And not me saying that in a bad way. I'm not saying, why are you overthinking? Like, it's normal that you're overthinking this. And this is something that helps me with overthinking. This is what I want you to do. I want you to say, if my daughter was in the same position that I am in right now, what would I tell my daughter to do? And I don't think that you have a daughter. I don't have a daughter either, but I hope to one day. And from what I'm hearing, I'm pretty sure you would tell your daughter to do exactly what you did. I think that would probably, as a mother, or you love this little girl. You really care for this little girl. You would tell her to do the same thing. You would tell her to do the exact same thing. And so let's just start there with the overthinking. Let's start there with all the doubts. Let's start there with, all the questioning of, did I do this right? Am I wrong? Wipe that off the table. If your daughter was in the same scenario that you are in, would you tell her to do the same thing? And from what I've gathered, the answer is yes. The other thing is a quote that comes to mind. And the quote says, if you are questioning if you belong, then you don't belong. A place, a person that you belong with or in, you will just know. And so you kept on talking about, the anxious feelings and that gut feeling. And it doesn't seem like, you're some very anxious person. You have a good head on your shoulders. You have a very good head on your shoulders. And like, it seems to me that, there is a difference between just being anxious all the time and then situationally being anxious and it being your gut that's telling you something. And I would just tell you to continue listening to your gut. Who am I to tell you not to? Like, that would go against everything that I say, everything that I ever preach. Listen to yourself. And so it seems like there were just these little markers throughout the time that you guys were together to where there were some red flags that popped up, maybe subconsciously, maybe things that were just really small and you couldn't figure out what was going on. And, you had your own back. And that's kind of the thing that sucks about all this. And I have a lot to say, and we're gonna go through all this, but sometimes what our gut is telling us is what we don't want to hear. And it just seems like, why is my gut telling me this? Why do I feel like this isn't working out when I really want it to work out? And what it seems to me is that you honored what you felt. And now, weeks, months later, after this happened, you're starting to question if you were right. You're thinking you might be crazy. You're thinking, well, maybe I just was overthinking. Maybe I just was overfeeling. And you can't do that to yourself. You can't. There were signs and there were things that happened within this that took you to a place where you had to make a decision for you. You did the right thing, and now you're dealing with the feelings and the aftermath of that decision. So I want to go into this. Limbo is one of the hardest places to be because it's not a clean break and it's not a clear future. It's the space in between where the past still echoes and the future hasn't arrived. And that ache that you feel, that tug of war between your heart and your head, it makes sense. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between it's over and I still feel them in my bones and in my heart. So you're in this in-between place of making this decision, but still, 4 months and being with a person and sharing your heart with the person and introducing them to your family. Like, these are big deals. 4 months with the person is a long time. Let's just be honest. And in 4 months, there's a lot of time for you guys to get to know each other. There's a lot of time for you to share your secrets, share your emotions, share where you've been, share your stories. Like, yeah, there was a connection. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. The body remembers what the mind forgets. You made a decision and there's still part of you that misses him. And that is okay. There's something that I like to say, and I've made a couple Instagram videos about it, but it's okay to miss something or someone or someplace, and at the same time know that you're moving on. And the reason for that is because your heart is big enough for that. It is okay to grieve and miss someone while at the same time having joy and excitement about moving on in life and finding something new. And I think a lot of us can get into a place to where we feel like it feels wrong to feel both of those things. It almost makes us feel like confused because they're two polar opposite feelings. And that's just not true. You have the ability to feel both. And so it's not weird and it's not wrong that you miss it. And it's also not weird and it's also not wrong that you want to move on. What you feel is not wrong. That's just how you feel. And that's just a very human thing. Is, maybe the relationship wasn't perfect, but there were still good things about it and there were also bad things about it. That's just the complexity of a relationship. That's just the complexity of life, is there's good and bad in all of it. And so that's what you're dealing with, is this complexity of saying, dang, he could have been that person. And then the other part of it is like, nah, like he literally wasn't though. And so you just have to find a medium, a sappy medium, and realize that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's okay to feel both. There's nothing wrong with it. Your heart is big enough to grieve and miss them and also be excited enough to move on. Even though your rational mind knows it's over, your body is still wired to expect connection, closure, or a different ending. You said something powerful. I know it's not going to work, but I still replay everything. I still check if he's watching. I still want him to like my family. I still wonder if he misses me. That's not weakness. That's called attachment residue. According to Dr. Sue Johnson, founder of the emotionally focused therapy, when bonds are formed, our brains literally encode the other person into our neural maps. He's in your head. He's in your brain. And that's okay right now, because it's going to take a minute for you to not have him in your brain. It's okay. So of course you'll still feel him. You weren't just with him. You were becoming wired to him. So here's the truth no one tells us. Sometimes healing isn't about moving on. It's about unhooking. And that's what we're going to talk about, is the unhooking process, because it already seems like you have made the decision to move on. And now, based on Dr. Sue Johnson, you're still a little wired together in your brain. And so that's what we're going to focus on, is that you're unhooking from the fantasy of it all and who he was in that relationship, the version of them that only exists in your memory. And here's the thing about memory, is sometimes we only like to think about the good. It's that fantasy of being with him and how he made you feel, even if it was a very small percentage at the time. He probably made you feel good a small percentage of the time. And then you're unhooking from the timeline your heart was rooting for. There was a part of your heart that wanted it to work. There was a part of your heart, and there was a timeline within that heart to say, we do this, and then we get engaged, and then and like he's going to introduce me to his family. Like, you had your expectations, and that's so normal. Saying goodbye to things that aren't completely a fit is one of the most powerful things that we can ever do, because we're opening that space back up to actually find the fit that is meant for us. And a lot of people say yes to the puzzle pieces that kind of fit, and you kind of got to freaking bang it in there and force it. And then, it just doesn't look good on the puzzle. And it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like the corner of the puzzle is now in the middle of the puzzle because it kind of fit good. And so be proud of yourself. Be very proud of yourself. So here's number one. Grieve what could have been, not just what was. You're not just mourning the relationship. You're mourning the imagined future. And all of us have an imagination. And all of us, again, we're unhooking that heart's timeline. And it would be crazy to say that you didn't think forward. All of us think forward when it comes to relationships, when it comes to things. We want to give ourselves that comfort. We want to think about how this could end up. You're thinking about the shared holidays that you could have had, the way you hoped he'd love your family. You thought about those kind of things, and like the relationship dynamics with your friends and all those types of things, and what that would have looked like. And it just didn't meet the expectation that you had. And that's okay. Number two, don't demonize the limbo. Study it. There is gold in discomfort. And being in limbo is probably one of the greatest places we could ever be when it comes to being in alignment with who we know that we really are. And I love the thought of knowing that I can't know what's for me unless I experience what is not for me. And so a lot of people have problems with that because they come into things with a lack mindset. They feel like this is the best that I can do. There's not going to be any other options. There's tons of options. There's always abundance of options in our life when it comes to this kind of stuff. And we get this lack mindset and we get this fear mindset, and we get in a relationship or we get in a place or with a job or whatever. And, it's pretty good. It's all right. And we know that it doesn't really actually fit. And a lot of people, sadly, will just stick with it because there's a fear in them that can't be replaced, that there's nothing better than this. And that's just not true. And when you make that decision to say, I have to have an understanding that what's not for me is only found when I experience what's not for me, then you have to say goodbye to that experience and open yourself up and create space for what is for you. That puts you in a place of limbo. And that's what you said, you're in limbo. And that limbo creates discomfort. And that discomfort is there, and we don't like the feeling of it, and we wish that we didn't make that decision. And maybe you're feeling that right now, is that you're just like, dang, I just don't know if I was right. But like, the discomfort is proof that you did make a right decision. That limbo is gold. That discomfort is gold. It's growing you. You're learning yourself more. You're learning your standards more. You're learning what you expect more. That's a really, really important thing. And so this relationship isn't just a waste of time. It's a lesson. You know what you want, and you know what you want even more. You've experienced something that is not who you are and not what you want. And so now you have even more details and instruction of who you do want to be with and who you are. Okay, number 3, stop watching the door that you closed. You said that you check if he's watching your stories, and that's not you wanting attention. That's energetic attachment. Every time you check your ex's page, your brain releases a hit of dopamine followed by a crash. It's a cycle of withdrawal, not connection. And that's from Dr. Helen Fisher. I'm going to read that again. Every time you check your ex's page, your brain releases a hit of dopamine followed by a crash. It's a cycle of withdrawal, not connection. And so you're just dealing with brain science here. And you're going to have to just shut that door to where you're not going through that withdrawal, this energetic attachment over and over and over and over again. Number 4, replace the checking with reconnecting. And this is how you do that. Every time you go to check if he saw your story, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what would nourish me right now? Because it's not this. What is it? Number 2, ask, what would help me come home to myself instead of looking for a home in that fantasy that I had with him? That craving is a signal, not a command. You're not meant to starve without his attention. Okay, listen to this. You're not meant to starve without his attention. You're meant to feed yourself with presence, truth, and small acts as a replacement. I think that's one thing that we can do when we're trying to stop something. Okay, whether it's, the withdrawal of a relationship, the withdrawal of food, the withdrawal of drugs, whatever. We just want to starve ourselves. And that's just not how things work. We have to always replace it with something that wasn't there before. There's obviously a need or a void or something in us that need to be filled that we were filling with something that might have not filled it the correct way. And so when we're withdrawing from something, whether it's what we're talking about here or something else, we have to replace it. And I'm going to read that again. You're not meant to starve without his attention. You're meant to feed yourself with presence. Be present with yourself. Truth and small acts of care. Okay, number 5, reframe the pain. You are not in limbo. You are in sacred transition. And I know limbo is a good place, but let's just reframe what we call limbo and let's just call it a sacred transition. You are in a transition that's setting yourself up for something amazing and something way better. There is someone out there that is for you, that is going to meet these expectations, that is going to be the perfect fit. And you have to transition from one thing to another. And so that's what you're in, is you're in a transition. So this is not a sad thing. It might feel sad, but this is a happy thing. This is a joy-filled process, where you will grieve, but you also can tap into that joy knowing that there's something more because you're tapped into that abundance mindset in your head. You understand the options that you have. You understand the future that you have. You understand how amazing that you are. You understand that what's for you will find you. That missing puzzle piece, that's where you're at, is a sacred transition. What you're doing is sitting with grief, resisting the urge to run back, and daring to feel it all. That is the most active kind of healing there is. Sitting with the grief, resisting the urge to run back, and daring to feel it all. Young Pueblo, love him. Growth feels like grief because you're mourning the parts of you that believe love had to hurt. Ooh, let me say that again. Growth feels like grief because you're mourning the parts of you that believe love had to hurt. And there were parts of this relationship that hurt, that didn't feel how you expected it to feel. It didn't feel how the way that you wanted it to feel. Like, what? Why won't you introduce me to your family? Like, what's going on here? Like, why am I feeling weird? And you almost had to try to talk yourself into the fact that maybe this is just how it is. Maybe this is just, well, the truth of the matter is, like, those parts of the relationship mess with you and it hurt a little bit. And you're grieving those parts of yourself that accepted that hurt. You're literally saying that is not the standard of love that I'm getting on board with. And so you're grieving that part of you that was almost okay with it, if that makes sense. And there are parts of us that will accept less than what we deserve. And so you're telling those parts of yourself, hey, I understand how you feel. And I understand that it was pretty good and it was almost good enough. But hey, we have a standard and we know our truth and we know who we are and we know what we deserve. And let's lift ourselves up to a higher place that aligns with the love that we know that we deserve. This isn't just about a breakup. This is about reclaiming your time, your attention, and your aliveness. And one day soon, you'll look back and realize you weren't stuck. You were incubating, becoming the woman you promised yourself you'd be. And that's just what this feels like. This is what keeping promises to yourself feels like. They're full of doubt. You question yourself. That's just where you're at. You are becoming the woman that you said and promised yourself you would be. And that comes with some pain. That's just how it feels. And so I just want you to know that you're not in the wrong place. You didn't do the wrong thing. You're just keeping a promise. And sometimes promises hurt. You're keeping that promise. And those parts of you that are trying to cling on to less than you deserve, you're keeping them in check and you're keeping them accountable. And soon those parts of you will live up and align with what you deserve. That just takes time. That takes practice. That takes presence. That takes soothing. That takes you reminding those parts of you. And the fact that you're not acting from those places of less than you deserve is a testament to what you're doing. You can listen to them, but you're not acting from them, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to put this in the description, and I wrote out a practice for you that I'd love for you to do, and I think it'll really help. It's called the release and return practice, okay? So the intention of it is I release the version of me and us that cannot continue, and I return my energy to myself. And so this is kind of like a little ceremony that you're going to set up, a little practice that you're going to set up. It'll take 20 to 40 minutes, however long that you need. And then I'm going to put like a 7-day reset track in there. And it's just like repattern daily attention away from him and towards your own self-restoration. So like, it'll be like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. So like for the next 7 days, you're going to just do a couple different things. I have it on here. I'm not going to read it all, but just a couple things that you can do the first 7 days that, you can just take like 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. and just bring some clarity to the situation. I think that will really help you. So yeah, I really appreciate you calling in. Again, you seem like an awesome person, and I'm really excited for what's coming for you in your life. And I really hope that helped. And I really think, I can say all this stuff and we can talk through it, but also there is a portion that really, really works if you take some of this into your own hands and have your own accountability, which I know that you will. And so do this practice. The reason I do this kind of stuff is because, and you probably know a little bit of my story, but when I did a resentment list, it helped me so much. And just those actions, those things that I was doing, writing it out, saying it, bringing it up, talking about it, whatever, reading it, it helped me release so much stuff that was built up in me. And so I know that these practices seem a little like, why? Well, it's just because it works. And I want you to feel better. And I think that that's something that can really help. And so thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to see where life takes you. Call in again in a couple of months and tell us how things are going. We'd love to hear about it. All right, we got a quick 90-second ad from Intelligent Change. Check it out.
I got this book. It's written by my grandson, J.B. Copeland, and it's a pretty cool book. And it's got a lot of stories how to get your life right and how to think properly and be organized and not let the world get you down. That's really a good book. And I've been reading it, and I'm almost through, but I'm gonna keep reading it. Just pick up some stuff to help me go. Yeah, I'm 86 years old, but I'm still learning stuff, how to adjust to stuff in life. It doesn't not matter how old you are. But this is a good book for every age, Sappy medium, and you can go online and order it.
We are back. I hope you like my grandpa. He's awesome. He read my book. Seriously, check out my book. Link is in the bio, and Sappy Hour 10 for 10% off. I'd love for you to check it out. Would love for you to read it. I wrote it over the last year, and yeah, it's kind of like my first little writings. I don't know. I'm really excited about it, and I've just never been much of a reader, and so I was like, I need to create something that I would read. And so I hope it's something that you would also like to read. So check it out. It's also good for like, I love design and interior design and clothing and stuff like that. It's also something cool that can sit on your coffee table or something like that. I made the colors that way because I want it to be something that could like pop in your house. And so, all right, let's dive into voicemail 2. Here we go.
Hey, man. I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do. It's been helping me a lot. Me and my partner split up a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know how to handle it at first. And I'm getting to a point where I'm catching my bearings again. But she told me what to do and what to fix in myself. I was not open enough. I wasn't really there for the relationship for like the last year. I was kind of lost within myself and trying to preserve the relationship over preserving myself and finding who I want to be. When you're young, it's really hard to figure out what your intentions are in your own life. And I just want to know what you think about that. A lot of people struggle with that. A lot of my friends have been a great support throughout this. Not a single one said anything bad about her and anything negative. They all just know that I'm going to keep moving and I better be doing it in the right direction. I just want to say thank you again for all the work that you do. Finding you is probably my saving grace.
Man, thank you so much for those kind words. Seems like you got some great friends. So you brought up the girl at the beginning. That's not the question that you had, though, so we'll hit that just real quick. It seems like this relationship was kind of like the catalyst moment that made you realize what you're actually asking. What you're actually asking, I have it written down. When you're young, how do you figure out what your intentions are in life? And that question speaks on the beginning of your call too, of being like, when you're living life, not understanding who you are, not understanding why you're here, it's hard to hold down a relationship. You're in your head. And so I'm sorry that worked out the way that it did, but at the same time, I think that you're being really accountable. I really appreciate the call. It's like, you're not trying to get on here and blame anyone. You're saying, hey, I didn't do what she asked, and I just don't really feel like I have any direction. So let's go into this. 9 steps to build intention when you're young and you don't know where to start. Number 1, accept that confusion is not a defect. It's a season. You're just in a season, man. There's nothing wrong with you for not knowing who you are. There's nothing wrong with you for not knowing what you want to do. It's just a season that you have to go through for you to figure out who you are. Step 2, live it into existence. You don't find clarity by overthinking. You earn it through aligned action. You become intentional by making small and honest choices every day, especially when it's inconvenient. Stop waiting for a lightning bolt insight and start being consistent. Ryan Holiday says direction is a byproduct of disciplined action. And that needs to start with being honest. That needs to start with keeping your word to yourself and to others. That needs to start with speaking the truth. It's just little micro decisions throughout your life, throughout your day, that begin to build the intention of who you are. All right, number 3, curate what shapes you. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Spend it like you're building something. Curate your life based on who you want to be, based off the values that you have, based on the dreams that you have within yourself. You got to connect with yourself to understand who you want to be and really even who you already are. Is there inspiration that you have? Are there people that you like? Are there things that you've seen that you want to do? Is it business? Is it creation? Is it social media? Is it podcasting? What is it? What do you want to be? Maybe it's just simple. Maybe it's like, I want to be honest. I want to understand philosophy. I want to understand. Okay, we'll start curating your attention based on that. I watch a lot of videos around psychology. I watch a lot of videos around philosophy. I read a lot around that. I also watch a lot of videos about editing and video. I do all my own editing. I do my own video. I understand lighting, all those kind of things. I watch a lot of videos about clothing. And so what I intake is inspiring me to create the life that I want. And I'm not saying to be like a stickler. I'm not saying you can't go watch Superbad. You got to have a laugh. I'm saying carve out some time daily to where you are feeding that dream within you. You're curating to that dream that's within you. And you might say that you don't know your intentions. You don't know why you're here, but let's be honest. If you got really, really honest with yourself and you really got present with yourself, you know what you want to do. You know who you are. You got to start there. You got to start with getting quiet with you and figuring out what it is that I want to do. Only you can answer that. And you do have the answer for that. So yeah, curate what shapes you. Number 4 is break the loop. When you feel lost, your brain doesn't pause. It runs default scripts. Your job is to find your pattern and disrupt it. Common loops look like overthinking instead of acting, chasing people instead of sitting with yourself, avoiding hard conversations, numbing with work, scrolling, validation. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung, gotta love him. There are things in your life that you're doing. For example, you were self-absorbed. For example, maybe you weren't completely honest. Maybe you weren't a good listener, whatever it might be, that you have to become self-aware about. This is why self-awareness is so important. You have to become self-aware of what you're doing so that then you can break those patterns. Because a lot of times you're doing this stuff and it's out of the subconscious and you don't even know you're doing it. And so what I do, I don't do this every night. I should do this every night. I'm not going to lie to you because I'm an honest man. But what you should do is every night take inventory. Taking inventory is an important thing. It's something that you can do every single night before you go to bed. And what you do is you think back through your day and you take inventory of your day. You think about it. And the way that you're able to really do this is that you are present and aware through the day. And what you're doing at night is you're reflecting. You're thinking back about your day and you're thinking about the things you did good. You're thinking about the things that you could have done better. You're thinking about the things that you could have failed during that day. And what you're doing is you're bringing those to the top of your head so that then you can either celebrate those victories before going to bed. You can think about the things you could have done better and remind yourself, hey, next time. And this isn't a place out of judgment. You're not sitting here, shitting on yourself. This is a place of you loving you. You're teaching you how to be the best you. Okay, you shouldn't have any shame while you're doing this or guilt while you're doing this. Like, this is lighthearted. Okay, things that you need to fix, things that my mom called me and I wasn't very talkative because I was watching a TikTok video and I was in the middle of it. And, I should have given her more attention. I could have given her 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. Like, what was I doing? Come on, JB. Like, and that happens. Whatever those little moments are to where you're like, I could have done better with that. And then if you had failures that, might have hurt someone, hurt a situation, maybe you blew up on your girlfriend, or maybe, sometimes I'll raise my voice at my wife and it's just like, why did I do that? Like, it sounded like such a dick. I don't want to be a dick. Like, I was, impatient or whatever. And so I take those things that I do wrong and then the next day I make it right. Hey, babe, I'm really sorry for being impatient. Like, I shouldn't have done that. This is what keeping inventory is, and keeping your unconscious clean. Every single day you're taking inventory, you're celebrating what you did good, you're fixing what you could have done better, and you're making right maybe what went wrong. And we all do wrong things. No one has a perfect day. And so every single time you take inventory, there are going to be some things that you need to clean up. There are going to be some things that you need to make right. And there's also going to be things that you're going to need to celebrate and be happy with yourself. And so that right there in itself is going to really help you bringing the unconscious to the conscious. You're breaking those patterns by daily reflection, daily inventory. This is called interrupting the loop. Choose presence, choose reflection, choose awareness over pattern. You're just breaking these patterns. You're breaking subconscious patterns by bringing it to the conscious, and you do that by reflection. You can do that. Number 5, pick your compass. You need 5 values that mean something to you now. Choose a code. What is your code? Something to return to when your feelings try to hijack your behavior. This could be a couple codes you could use. These are a little bit general, and you can make them as not general as you want, but like being present, being disciplined, telling the truth, having courage, having compassion. What is your code? Create your code. That is step 5. And when things get hard, ask, what would someone who lives by my values do right now? What I'm saying in this whole thing, I know we're only on step, what I'm saying is live life with attention. Live life with awareness. Being attentive, being present, being aware of yourself is the most important thing that you could ever do. A lot of people go through life and they don't pay attention, and they are unaware of who they are. They are unaware of how they're affecting people. They're unaware and not present in the moment, and that life just flies by. All I'm asking you to do through all of these is have attention. Be attentive to life. Pay attention. Be aware of who you are. When you become aware and you give your life the attention that it deserves, things change because you start to notice. And it's crazy. We were never taught to do that. We were taught to just, whatever. And so all I'm asking is saying, hey, man, become aware and become attentive, and do these things as well. But that's where that starts. Number 6, anchor your days in identity. You become what you repeat, not what you think about. Most people drift through their days and then wonder why they feel disconnected. Again, drifting, not paying attention. This is like the theme with this. Set 2 anchors, one in the morning, one at night. I just talked about this. The night one is taking inventory and being reflective. In the mornings, something that you can do is have gratitude. Gratitude in the morning, reflection at night. Wake up in the morning and just start being gracious. Like, even if you don't feel grateful, just be grateful. I'm so glad this person or this person was in my life. I'm so glad that this happened. brainwash yourself with gratitude. Gratitude is the key that unlocks your destiny. And attention is the key that unlocks your presence. And those two together, those things together, gratitude and presence and being attentive and aware, is what's going to take you to the top. You will be a 1%er human because you're choosing to become aware. So you're asking me, how do I find my intention? Only you can find it. Have gratitude in the mornings. Live a life of gratitude and be reflective at night. And throughout the day, be attentive. Just pay attention. Number 7, find mirrors that don't lie. And this is something that I think that you have. Growth requires people to see you clearly and say something. And it seems like you have friends that are like that, which is a very, very big blessing. And I'm very happy for you. If that's family, if that's friends, whatever it might be. Right now, I am being that for you. I am a mirror for you, telling you what I see it. I'm telling you, you need people to see your blind spots. My wife, she holds up a mirror to my blind spots all day, and I need it. And I'm glad that she does. She also makes me feel good about myself. Friends and family that keep you accountable, that you've shared these values with, that you've said, this is what I'm doing, they're going to keep you accountable to it. Those are good friends. Those are good people to let in. And so, yeah, let's do that. Find mirrors that don't lie. That's number 7. Number 8, turn regret into standard. And at the beginning of this voicemail, you expressed regret, okay? If you hurt someone good while you're still figuring yourself out, own it. And you did. You took accountability. Don't hide from it. Let it mean something. And it seems like it means something to you. You don't need to spiral into shame. We're not talking about you feeling shameful and guilty, but you need to take the lesson and raise your bar higher, which is what you are doing, becoming aware, becoming attentive. And the last one is name the mountain and then walk toward it. Here's the truth. None of the above matters if you don't know what you're aiming at. You don't need a dream job or a mission statement, but you need a direction that means something. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become when no one's watching? What kind of pain have I lived through that I want to turn into purpose? What version of me would I be proud to look in the mirror at? That's your mountain. That pain that you've gone through is on purpose. The person that you want to become, you know it's deep within you. And then what are the actions you are taking to be that person right now? It all flows together with what we just talked about. Being attentive, reflecting, having gratitude, breaking patterns. It's just who you want to be. And I know that you know who you want to be. And so be that person. You are that mountain. You are that destination. You're not looking external to find who you are. You're looking within to find who you are because you are the destination you want to go to. It's you. It's just aligning your actions with who you know that you really are. And that's how you do it. And doing all this is how intention is formed. It's how identity sticks. It's pattern breaking and then replacing and then building on it and just becoming who you are one little step at a time. Being aware and in the moment, being reflective, being gracious, having gratitude, holding yourself accountable, and there's another side of it of not feeling guilty and not being filled with shame. It's going to take you down a whole different road. Rest easy, bro. You're a good person. And there's just an awareness level that life is waiting on you to find. And you have that ability. You have the ability to be aware. There's nothing that is outside of you that you need to fulfill the void within your soul. So I want to finish off with this. And it's, you're not supposed to have all the right answers right now, but you are responsible for how you show up while you search. Don't let your confusion become someone else's heartbreak. Don't let your age be an excuse for apathy. And don't wait until life breaks you to become intentional. Start now with who you are when no one's watching. You don't have to be clear, but you need to be honest. You don't have to be certain, but you need to be committed. You just have to be you. You just have to be real, and you just have to show up on purpose. Keep going. You're not behind. You're just beginning the part where it finally starts to matter. Thank you for the call. I hope that helps. I'll also have something in the description for you, just a quick summary of what we talked about those 9 steps. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Sappy Hour, brought to you by Intelligent Change. I'm having so much fun having a podcast. It's great, and I hope that you guys are liking it. Also, please call on the Sappy hotline. We're getting a ton of voicemails, and I'm going to answer them. It might take me 3 years, but I'm going to answer them. Number is 888-444-9461. Again, it's 888-444-9461. I will see you all next week. You're the best.